Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about adding fractions with the same sign. And our learning target is the same that you saw in the last two videos. It is, I can add numbers with the same sign because fractions are still numbers. So I know that fractions can be scary, but we've got 3 steps. So if we just follow it down and we break it down into these 3 steps, we're going to make our lives so much easier. Before we break our fractions into 3 steps, I want to remind everybody what the parts of a fraction are. So I would love for you to pause the video right here and try and fill in these 3 blanks in our little post-it note over here on the side. What do N stand for, D stand for, and then what is that little bar in the middle called? Go ahead and pause your video and try and fill those in. All right, so these are what the numbers or the letters represent. The top is called our numerator. The bottom is called our denominator. And then that little bar in the middle or the little line in the middle is called our fraction bar. Some people call it the division bar. And it's just important to know the vocabulary words for numerator and denominator. It's just the top number and the bottom number. What's happening on the top, what's happening on the bottom. So numerator and denominator. So in step 1, I'm not going to make you try and figure out what's happening in these. I am going to help you. But I want to make this a little bit bigger so we can just focus on what is happening right in here. There we go. All right. So step 1, have a blank denominator. So what we want to do here is we want to have a common denominator. So what that means is we want the numbers on the bottom of our fractions to be the same. So we want to have a common denominator. Common denominator. So again, this means same number on bottom. Okay, so we want to have the same number on the bottom of our fractions. So how do we get 9 and 4 to end up going to the same number? I know that sounds like it's going to be really crazy hard, but we're just going to multiply them. We're going to use multiplication to do this. So we're going to multiply 9 times 4. But if we multiply 9 times 4, we have to multiply the top of our fraction by 4. Because whatever we do to the bottom of our fraction, we need to do to the top of our fraction. So we're going to also multiply 6 times 4. Okay? So if we're going to multiply 9 times 4 to get a new number for our denominator, we need to make sure that we get 4 to that same number. So we need to multiply 4 times something that will equal the same thing as 9 times 4. Pretty easy to figure that out. We're going to go with 9. And again, if we do something to the bottom of our fraction, we need to do the same thing to the numerator of our fraction. So we're going to multiply the top of that fraction also by 9. Okay? So now we get a whole brand new thing. We're going to multiply these numbers out. We are going to do 6 times 4 on the top, and that gives us 24. We're going to do 9 times 4 on the bottom, which gives us 36. And then we're going to do plus, and again on the top, 2 times 9, which is 18. And on the bottom, we should get the same thing. 4 times 9 is 36. All right. So now on step 2, we're going to add the numerators, just the numerators. Okay. Keep the denominators the same. Okay. So don't touch the bottom. Don't touch the denominators, okay? So what I like to do is I like to move the plus sign up here, and I like to just draw an arrow over here to remind myself that I'm just bringing this 36 straight over. I'm not touching it, okay? But I'm adding the 24 and the 18. So 24 plus 18 is all I'm doing. That's all the math you got to do. You don't do anything else to the bottom anymore. So 24 plus 18, we get 42. And now we have a whole brand new fraction, 42 over 36. That would be our answer, but we need to check it to make sure that's as small as it gets. So we need to do what we call simplify the fraction. So we need to know what is the biggest number that both of these numbers can be divided by. And this is also called reducing the fraction. Okay, so it's also called reducing. And really it's just making the fraction smaller. Okay, so if we think about it, the biggest number that can go into both 42 and 36 is 6. So 36 divided by 6, we get 6. 42 divided by 6 is 7. And so our new answer is 7/6. All right, so there we go. That's our answer. Now we have a word problem. Yay! I know how much everybody loves word problems. I know. Most people don't love them. I'm not a huge fan either, but they're super important to know how to do because most real world problems start out as word problems. They're logic problems. So let's read it first. Mrs. Popko was making a batch of cookies. For the first set she put in the oven, she used 1/4 of the cookie dough. For the second set, she used 1/2 of the cookie dough. How much of the original cookie dough changed? So like how much of the original cookie dough changed? So she's making cookies. Okay, great. Let's look at some important information. So first, she didn't use any cookie dough. And then she used 1/4. So we started out with a whole amount. And then she used 1/4. And then she used 1/2. And then we need to know how much did the cookie dough change? So first, none of the cookie dough was missing, right? And then when she used it, are we adding to the cookie dough or are we taking away from the cookie dough? Well, if we're using it, we're taking away. It's not getting bigger, it's getting less, right? So we're taking away 1/4 of the cookie dough. But then she used 1/2 of the cookie dough, so we're taking away 1/2. But our increments are in quarters, so we need to make 1/2 the same as 1/4. So how do we make 1/2 the same as 1/4? Like our denominators here we have 1/2. So we can look at this and we can go 1, 2. 2/4 is the same as 1/2. But I'm already at 1/4, right? So now I need to go 2 more quarters. Okay? So we're going to go 1, 2. That's for our second half, right? That's for our second batch of cookies. So from the original amount of cookie dough, till her second batch of cookies, she used 3/4 of the cookie dough. All right. So now I want you to do the check your work. I will help you set up the problem, but then I want you to use the math from above to actually do it, okay? So we started out with -1/4 plus -1/2. And you know that your answer needs to be -3/4. So I want you to try and do the math for it. That's going to be your job, okay? All right, go ahead and pause the video here and give that a try. Okay, here are the steps. So the next thing I want you to try is these you try problems down at the bottom. Go ahead and take a few minutes, give these problems a try, follow the steps above, and really do your best work. Pause the video, take your time, come back and check your work. All right, there you go. Here are your answers. Make sure that you really look at your work, check your answers. If you got them right, awesome. Make sure you go ahead and move right on to the next activity. If you didn't, make sure you go through and try again, talk to some peers. If you're really stuck, come talk to me. I will help you out. Make sure you answer this summary question. It's really important that you can describe what's happening in adding same signs. And until next time, have a good day.